We are called to love others as Christ loved us. What does that look like to you?
I personally think of the Good Samaritan and the people that walked by this wounded individual, and it took somebody who was considered the enemy, literally at the time, an individual who was hurting, and I can I can do something to help. I, in the middle of last summer, had an opportunity to take somebody to the airport. I didn't have any idea who they were. They were stranded, and they needed to get to the airport. And I can say that my family was not happy with me because I picked up this person that was a total stranger and and took them to the airport because I just felt like if I was someplace and I needed help, would somebody give me that help? Uh, I think that we have become so fractured in that we not only would walk by that person laying alongside the road, but we might kick them as we were going by because you know what? Well, you realize how bad you look. Let me just push you a little further into the ditch. You know what? Where have we lost our compassion, our godly compassion for one another? And we really have. And I just it breaks my heart, and that's one of the things that I pray about regularly. Lord, just make me aware and keep me open to what someone might need.
I think of loving like Christ. Three words come to mind: no matter what. You love somebody no matter what. Might mean risk, might mean you're taken advantage of. You might be giving the money to somebody who's, it's his racket or her racket, and they're gonna go buy drugs with her. You don't know, but but loving like Christ is loving somebody no matter what their lifestyle's like, no matter what risk it is to you, no matter that you might be taken advantage of. That's not your job. That's between them and God. You just call on to love them. And I often think of people that we have hard times with, uh, or negative feelings, and it's God who is perfect can forgive and accept them. Who am I not to do so?
Because we don't know what it's like to be them and have the feelings that they are having and going through whatever they are going through. And, maybe that's something that I have never experienced, but that doesn't mean that I can't show love to them or compassion for them.
Showing Jesus' love to me is giving you time in whatever way you can. You've touched on it, but the food actually was born out of last spring. During the pandemic, I was sitting at home feeling alone. I think I reached out to you in an email. How can I help? I need to feel connected. And that's kind of where it all started. It was sporadically grew from there, but then we were steadily, more involved and more doing monthly distributions from August on, I think, July or August. But that for me was to reach out to give up time and to help, people were really desperately needing food. I still think we're in that same situation now, but that's giving time that actually can show that you're taking time out of your life to bless people or give them show them what God's love or what the love of Jesus would look like in their life. And I try to use that in not just the food, but we've spent, I've spent many times putting time into soccer fields and taking kids who weren't mine in cars, their families, and have spent a lot of time. And you try to sprinkle a little salt. So now that I think about that, I'm thinking little salt and light, little salt into their lives on long car rides or things. But it's the time you spend with people that you try to spend it in a good way, obviously. But that's how I see the love of Christ being spread.
Time is a funny thing for me because I'm a pretty time motivated guy. And one of the things that impresses me most about Christ is how he took time for people, right? Like he calls to Zacchaeus in the tree. He didn't have to do that. He could have kept going and engaging with the crowd. The woman with the issue of blood, he could have just been like, all right, she's healed. But he stops and talks to him, and I'm like, what a powerful statement of love that he was willing to let life get interfered with to spend time with. And I struggle with that because when I have someplace I'm going to be and somebody stops me, I'm like,
Gotta go.
even if I do stop and talk, I'm in my head. I'm not there. I'm not as present as I want to be. And my dog is so great on walks because he will start barking incessantly if we stop to talk to somebody. So I have
Did you train him to do that?
I did not train him to do that.
Just wants to go.
But I sit there thinking, oh, you are feeding my issue, and so I think that's a really cool realization that time is loving.
One of the stories that I often think about this in a lot of varieties, but the story of Mary and Martha.
Yeah.
Martha was very concerned about getting all the stuff ready, and everyone had to be fed, and she was concerned about the details, and Mary just wanted to sit and listen to Jesus, and Jesus had something to say, like, look, she let her spend time with me. He wasn't concerned about the time or the preparation, although I'm sure everything did get done, and Mary probably did her share. But sometimes I think, I'm more of a Martha than I am a Mary, and I do try hard to take time to spend time with people. It's hard to do that sometimes, though. But that's one of my favorite stories to look at, time spent, because Jesus literally says, "Let Mary have the time with me." Maybe not in those words, but.
And I'm sure there were many times that the disciples knew, hey, we're on our way to here. Why is Jesus doing it? Come on, we gotta
We gotta get there, man.
They did that with the woman with the issue of
Yeah,
blood.
yeah.
They're like, we're going to Jairus. We're going to heal this little girl. There's a big crowd. Don't stop. Don't delay.
Yeah.
Yet he took that time to engage with this nameless woman.
Yeah.
And it kind of fascinates me. I also think sacrificial has to be a part of our understanding of the love of Christ. Christ didn't just love us when the going was good. He loved us when it was the worst, when we were at our worst, and was willing to still sacrifice for us. And so learning to express love sacrificially, for me, that means giving up my time, that time part of my brain. But there are other things too that I think we need to learn how to, what am I willing to sacrifice to demonstrate love to people? Gene, you said risk, right?
No matter
it's
what.
risky to love certain people because if I'm talking to somebody who is outside of our community, people immediately will say, why would he do this? It was risky for Jesus to love the prostitutes, but he did.
Yeah.
And we need to have that same willingness to risk. I think for me, this is where I wish the church could settle better. Because if we did a better job of loving each other, we'd be more willing to share our struggles. We'd be more willing to share all these things. Because I wouldn't be afraid that if I share my struggle with you, you're going to condemn me. If I share that I want this, you're going to condemn me, as opposed to no matter what, you're going to love me. And I wish we could do this better, because I think it would have such a powerful influence on our hearts and the hearts of people around us. And I guess I'll just close with, one of the things I think about is, um, like I've gotten into long debates with people, because I believe you can only truly love if you know Christ. Because I think anything else is a shallower love. You know, Christ was the one that was willing to die, um, to love, and it's easy to say to people, "I love you." It's tough to live it out, and that is a real challenge we have set before us, is to make sure we love it. With all the kids we had, I say to people, I regretted every time I raised my voice. I never regretted a time when I was too calm.
I think that was one of the things when Steve Saint was here a few years back, and he talked about his father's death at the hands of those. He said it was very hard at first, but he said, now I look at that and I see God's plan. And he said, I know that one day I'm going to be with my father, my earthly father, my heavenly father. And he said, what a great reunion that'll be. But because of his death, so many more individuals will be part of that now.